What if every time you were running late, it was actually saving your life? Find out more on this episode of Real Life Angel Encounters. Angels. We all have them. They're our unseen guides, our companions, our teachers, and they're all around us. Sometimes they make themselves known in the most miraculous ways. Join me, Level 3 QHHT practitioner, angel communicator, and Reiki master, Christi Hoffman, with stories from real people who have experienced uplifting phenomena and real-life angel encounters. Hello, and welcome back to Real Life Angel Encounters, the award-winning podcast for those who like their paranormal with a hefty dose of positivity and their spirituality with actual spirits. I am your host, Christi Hoffman. I am a medium, a Reiki master, and level 3 QHHT hypnosis practitioner, along with other forms of hypnosis, based in the Kansas City area. So glad to have you listening to this special episode. Now, before we get too much further, I wanted to share some really exciting news. Well, first of all, this award-winning podcast is up for an award again this year. We won Best Storytelling Podcast last year in Women Podcasters Awards, and this year we're up for the same award. So I would really appreciate your vote. This is a People's Choice Style Awards, and there's a link in the show notes for you to vote for this podcast and any others that you particularly like. But make sure and vote for this podcast, Real Life Angel Encounters Storytelling Awards. All right, so please do vote. And this is maybe old news for some of you, but if you're new to this podcast, this will be new news. Real Life Angel Encounters is a book. The season 1 best stories are in the book, Real Life Angel Encounters. Real people share real stories of miraculous encounters. The book is available wherever you find books online, Amazon, Goodreads, Barnes & Noble, bookshop.org. That's my favorite, honestly. And if you're lucky, it will be in your local bookstore. If not, why not ask for it? It's available through Simon & Schuster. So ask your bookseller to carry it on the shelves. And before we get much further, too, I would like to ask a few little favors of you. Truly, these are small favors. First of all, you're listening right now, right? So just take a moment, and whatever platform you're listening on, be it Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, or any other podcast platform, please do subscribe, like, or follow so that you are notified the next time an episode comes out. You can also listen directly on the mindbodyspirit.fm network. And another ask that I have for you is if you would please share the good news about this podcast. Tell your friends, your coworkers, your networks that you listened to this episode and that you follow and subscribe to Real Life Angel Encounters. Heck, they probably like angels just as much as you do. They might like positivity and positive experiences as well. So please share this podcast. It's a simple thing to do, super, super easy. Maybe you could even help them find it on their favorite podcasting platform. So also, before I forget, this podcast is available and free to you to listen to. I will never change that. It will always be free for you, but it's not free for me to produce. There are certain costs that are associated with producing this podcast, and they come out of my own pocket, quite frankly. So would you buy me a cup of coffee or maybe send a couple bucks my way? That would be very, very helpful. There's a link in the show notes to do that. Also, if you have a story of your own, I'm always looking for stories to share on this podcast. Now, if you're shy, which some people are shy, you might not want to be featured in video on the YouTube version of this podcast, but that's okay. I can read out your story. We can hide your face, whatever you'd like to do. So don't worry about being shy to be on YouTube, or even if you're shy to have your voice heard. I get it. Some people are kind of sensitive about that. I'd be happy to read your story on the show. There is a link in the show notes for you to submit your story. And if it seems like a good one that our audience would like, then I will send you a link to schedule a time to record it, or just let me know. I can read the story for you. The email address is in the show notes as well. So without further ado, let's get to the stories. We have Mikki joining from the Kansas City area. Welcome to Real Life Angel Encounters. In this episode, we've got Mikki from my home area of the Kansas City region, who has a story of guardian angels, but also of some near-death experiences. And maybe we'll even talk about some earth angels too. Welcome, Mikki. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So you've had some near-death experiences, you said.
I have.
Wow.
The first time I was 5, and it's actually the reason why I have a fear of water now, is because I almost drowned. And there wasn't anybody around that could have saved me, but somehow I was plucked out of the water and I did not drown, but I almost did, which was really crazy. My cousins actually were with me and they got really scared and ran back to grandma's house to go tell her, which was only like half a block away. But by the time they got there, I was already out of the water. And I don't know exactly who it was or what happened, but I did feel myself get moved. And I was face down in the water. So it was a pretty scary experience. And another time was I was driving and it was really snowy and icy. And I don't know if you know what a Mazda B2200 is. It's a little light pickup truck. I was in this little light pickup truck and I hit a patch of ice and I went flying, and I was on a bridge. I went flying and I would have gone over the bridge, but all of a sudden I got smacked right into a snow pile that was just out of there and like in a place where it shouldn't have even been. And it stopped my truck completely. And I was with my daughter. So it was pretty scary for me because it's like, all I could think about is I don't want my kid to die. And then there's been other times where I probably would have been in a very bad accident, but for some reason I was running late. Like maybe there was a person in front of me that was driving really slow, or I hit every traffic light on the way there. And I don't know if that's synchronization or if that's the angels looking out for me. But the last time that happened was last month, and I was doing a wedding and I was heading to Smithville, and I literally got stopped at the door by somebody stopping to ask me a question about something like obscure, like, you know, you want to change your internet or whatever kind of thing. And I'm like, look, no, I like my internet. I get it pretty cheap. I don't want to change. I need to go. So you need to go ahead and move on to the next house. And then I got out into my car and my car wouldn't start. And I was like, what in the hell is going on here? My car had no problem starting. And so I waited for a couple of seconds and then I turned the key over and it finally started. Then I go out and I get stopped at every single red light you could think possible, all the way down the street from my house. And then I got to the highway and I was driving, you know, to Smithville. And all of a sudden we get to where I'm about, I think 4 or 5 miles before I'm where I'm supposed to be at. And the traffic was at a complete stop and there were sirens all over the place and all this stuff like that. And I'm like, what in the world? We finally come up on it and it's a big, and I'm talking big, pileup on the highway. And I don't know what happened because the weather was perfect. So I don't know how it ended up happening. But I do know that if I hadn't have been running late because of the person that stopped at my door, and if I hadn't hit every red light, that I would have probably been right in the middle of that pileup. So that worked out great. And I was thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be late. I'm the preacher and I'm going to be late to this wedding. And they only have a small window of opportunity because it's some kind of, I can't remember the name of the chapel, but it's a little bitty chapel that's like in an obscure place in Smithville, Missouri. It's beautiful, but it's like there's a big banquet hall and you park in front of that and then you walk down the path to this chapel. So there's not even a way to park in front of the chapel. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late. And so I kept texting the bride's phone saying, I'm sorry, Michelle, I'm going to be late. But I wasn't. I actually ended up being there early, in fact. And because I told myself it was at noon, but the wedding didn't actually start until 1. So, but I was just like, and what I would think is angels didn't intervene, then I probably would have been in that car accident. And there's been other accidents on the highway and other situations where if something had not happened first to me to make me run late, then I would have been, in the middle of that.
Yeah. And that is certainly one way that our angels can help us. They can't really intervene, but they can help us get someplace on time. They can help us get someplace safely. And we're in a situation that is really dangerous and it's not our time, then they can intervene then. But your story about getting to the church on time reminded me of a client recently. I'd done a reading for her, and Ganesh showed up. The guy with the elephant head, right?
Yeah.
He's the remover of obstacles. He showed up and he says, I've been with you the whole time. And, yes, things have been going well for you, but I've been helping in that type of way. And so once she realized that, she was going to a doctor appointment for her husband, and they were running late. And it's one of those doctor appointments that if you miss it, you're not going to get in for another 6 or 7 months. And he needed to get in. And the husband said, we're not going to make it. Yeah, we're going to make it. We're not going to make it. Yeah, we're going to make it. And she says, Ganesh, you got to help me clear the way. Get us. And they got there with 5 minutes to spare. It was pretty amazing. Yeah. So you had some help that day.
Yeah. I've actually, I had a minivan that was having a problem with the radiator overheating all the time. And I lived in Colorado Springs, and I was going to Denver to go pick up my daughter at the airport. And I know you could do like a connecting flight and go from Denver airport to Colorado Springs airport, but it was like a 2-hour layover and it's only an hour to drive out there. So I just was like, just fly into Denver. I'll go pick you up there. And the van was starting to act like it was going to start overheating. And I was just like, I threw it up there. I said, whoever's listening, I don't care who it is, please get us to the airport in time so my daughter isn't sitting there waiting for us, because she was like 14 at the time. I didn't want her sitting there waiting for us and, worried about what's going on and all that, because the van overheats and we have to stop. And literally, as soon as I said that, I looked up at the sky, and in the clouds was Buddha. And I was like, well, Buddha is there. He's helping us out. And we literally did get to the airport without the van overheating. It actually did overheat once we got there, but we at least made it there. And so he was, ex-husband was busy working on the van, getting that all ready while I went into the airport, picked up my daughter, and then we were able to leave. But I just thought that was the coolest thing, is that I looked up and literally saw Buddha in the clouds. And it was a cloud formation, but it looked exactly like Buddha. Then I had just said, whoever's listening, I just need some help. I said, oh, Buddha's listening. But that kind of stuff kind of happens a lot. And, I think that people, if they're open to communicating with their angels, with their spirit guides, with, the gods or the teachers or the ascended masters or your ancestors, they're going to come if you listen and you pay attention to what's going on. They may not speak directly. You may not be clairaudient, but you could still get messages downloaded to you if you just watch for them. Angel messages a lot of times come in number sequences. Yeah. And so, 111, a lot of people see that a lot, and that is actually just basically saying the angels are talking to you. You need to listen. And then I was saying earlier when I was talking to you before this, that I see 555 a lot. And that message is that there's going to be a change in your life, a huge change, an upheaval. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good. It could be a bad thing, but at least they're warning you ahead of time. Hey, there's something going on and it's going to happen. So just be on the lookout. So I'm always watching for synchronicities like that. I'll get messages from angels, and I get these a lot. And I don't know about other people, but I do know I'll be talking to an angel, or speaking out to my spirit guides or my guardian angels, and I'll ask a question that, I really need an answer to, and I'm not getting it, no matter what I'm trying to do, I'm just not getting the answer. So I'm like, if you have the answer for me, can you please give me the answer? And literally a song will come on the radio that will have the answer in it. Or the DJ will pop on and say something that's so obscure. And it's like, why did they say that? That is so weird. but it was the answer I was looking for. Or sometimes billboards will happen, like I'll drive by a billboard, and a billboard, especially now since they have the ones that like have the flashing different pictures and stuff, writing and stuff like that. And it'll flash a word up on it, or it'll flash a picture or image of something. And I just happened to look up and see that. And I'm like, that was odd. Okay, that was the answer to my question. It was odd, but it was the answer. And I also feel like I get answers from my angels a lot in like just sometimes when there's a lot going on in your life and you're just so overwhelmed and you feel kind of isolated and you feel like you're in it all alone. I'll actually say out loud, wow, I feel so alone right now. And I know I'm not. I have a lot of friends, a lot of acquaintances, and a lot of teachers around this area. And one of my teachers actually moved out to Mesa, Arizona. So I can contact a lot of people, but sometimes, you just don't want to bother them, or you don't want to be a burden or whatever. But then you're like, you feel all alone, and you're just like, and you say, or I'll say, I feel so alone, or I feel so isolated. And then all of a sudden find like a white feather where no feathers should be, or a white butterfly will fly right past me. And to me, the white butterfly is an angel speaking and saying, hey, I'm right here,
Sure. Now, I do want to jump in because you said earlier about clairaudience, but turning on the radio and a song has an answer for you, a DJ has an answer for you, that is a form of clairaudience. It is just taking in your intuition through the ears. Yeah.
And I think that I actually do have a bit of clairaudience, because I think I actually have a bit of all the clairs. But I think that the reason why I think I have clairaudience is I think that sometimes I do have it because I'll get like a high pitched ringing in my ear. And I know it's not like tinnitus or something like that.
Hang on a second. We need to go get into that again.
Okay.
Yeah. So clairaudience, I think we have a different idea of what that is. Do you feel like you have a degree of that?
I think I do a little bit. Yeah. Because like I said, sometimes I'll get like the high pitched ringing, or I'll get like a buzzing, and there's like nothing around me that's making that sound. And it's not like, I'm having high blood pressure or, tinnitus in my ear or anything like that. It's just because it'll just be like a split second type thing, and then it'll go away. I do sometimes when I'm reading for people, I do get like, not like I'm really hearing, but like I'm kind of seeing the words, if that makes sense, that is coming from outside of me. And so I know that that is usually, or I feel like it's like ascended masters, or maybe even their spirit guides are talking through me. And I've actually had that where I've gone up to a complete stranger. It embarrasses the hell out of my husband, because I do this kind of weird stuff all the time. But I'll go up to a complete stranger and I'm like, I don't know why I need to tell you this. And then I'll like relay a message. And then they're like, I really needed to hear that right now. Or, yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. But I don't know. And then if you ask me to repeat what I just said, I can't tell you what I said because I don't remember. I just like, I say, I feel like I need to tell you something. And then I relay it, but I don't always remember what I relate to the person. Sometimes I do, but a lot of times it's not like it's even me speaking. It's like they're speaking through me. So I don't know exactly what that's about, but I guess channeling maybe, and not really knowing how to channel, because I've never channeled before.
Right.
But I think I probably could if I like worked on it.
Now, when we were talking earlier, you said that you had a unique connection with guardian angels, something that's kind of.
I do.
Yeah.
Well, I always knew that I had more than one. And I think that it's because I actually knew who they were. The two, they were both great grandmothers. And one was a maternal great grandmother. The other one was the paternal great grandmother. And I was born into their lives, but they weren't around for very long. The paternal great grandmother died when I was a year old, and the maternal great grandmother died when I was 2. But I lived with the maternal great grandmother for a while when I was a baby. So I think that they decided that they were just going to be on the lookout for me as soon as I was born, because, I was born to a teenage mother and my father was not part of my life. So there always was stuff that, stuff happens to kids anyway, just stupid stuff, fall, scrape your knee or whatever, wreck on your bicycle, just stuff like that. But I had a blue racer snake chase after me. I've had a tarantula that was in Arkansas, and tarantulas migrate through Arkansas. And I actually had a tarantula move out of the migration and come up and jump at me. I don't know what that was about, but I think those instances that those guardian angels were there to protect me and keep me from getting hurt, because I could have been bit by the tarantula, could have been bit by the blue racer. I could have had like a lot of different things happen throughout my life. And I think that they're just there. But I had a psychic tell me once when she was doing a reading, she's like, you have 3 guardian angels. She said 2 that you know and 1 that you don't know. And then I don't know if you know who Susan Walters is. She drew a guardian angel for me once, and she drew it completely different than what she does everybody else's. And I've seen it before where she's done it since then. It was the very first time she had ever done it. My guardian angel that she drew had a lantern, and then it had a name, and she wrote the name down. The name is Turan. And she said, this angel is not of this world. So the only thing I can think of is maybe that angel is from whatever galactic area that she's from, but she is definitely not of this world. But I've had what they thought was a imaginary friend named Susie that was with me for a lot of years in my life. I kept saying, no, she's not. She's real. And I never saw her as imaginary. But when I was scared, I'd wake up in the middle of the night with a bad dream or whatever. She was always there to comfort me. She would put her hand on me. She would hold my hand. And I kept telling them, she's not a child. They kept saying, oh, it's a little kid that you're playing with, whatever. I never saw her as a child. I saw her as a grown woman. And I kept telling people that. And everybody kept saying, no, that's your imaginary friend. Well, this imaginary friend has been around my life from the time I was old enough to talk. And I called her Susie, and I never knew a Susie before. And that was what she told me her name was. And so Susie was with me, and at least from the time I could talk, maybe even before that. I don't know. She could have been with me my whole life. She could still be with me, but I don't have contact with her anymore. I haven't for a long time. Probably not since I was like 7 or 8. And that's about the time where they are like, you're a little too old for an imaginary friend. You need to grow up. You need to grow out of it. You need to stop talking to this imaginary friend. But she was a huge comfort. She played with me. She gave me comfort when I was scared. She was just always there and kind of very motherly. And I thought that I always felt safe when she was around.
Yeah. I wonder if that's who plucked you out of the water.
Yeah, I think it might have been because I was 5 then. So it would have been like somebody who was like right there with me. And like I said, I actually had felt her touch me. I felt her hand on my back, rubbing my back, or putting her hand on my knee, or holding my hand. I could always feel her touch me. And I would say she's sitting right next to me. People were, I don't see her. I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, because I would also, have tea parties with her and all kinds of stuff. I just played with her for years and I loved her. So it was kind of sad when she kind of disappeared out of my life. But,
Well, that can happen with kids, is that we all are born having this ability to see them, to talk to them, to feel them around us. But then we can have that trained out of us too.
Yeah. And I had a lot of stuff trained out of me. So, I actually had a lot of just being part of the spiritual world that I am now. I actually was like going towards that from a very, very early age because at 5, I got in trouble in school. Yeah. When you're in kindergarten, they teach you how to draw a 5-pointed star. And I drew the 5-pointed star and I was like, it didn't seem finished to me. So I drew a circle around it. Oh, hell. All hell broke loose when I did that. Because it's like, and I got in so much trouble because it's like, you don't do that. That is a bad thing. You don't draw a circle around the star. It's the evil thing, And I was just like, but it wasn't finished yet. And I kept saying, I just finished it. It wasn't finished yet. But I just like naturally, and so I would just draw the 5-pointed stars, put circles around them in private, on pieces of paper, color them in or whatever. And I always did that. And I never knew why, but I just knew it didn't seem finished till there was a circle around it.
And now you're pagan.
And now I'm pagan. Yep. And I have been since I've been in my 20s. So,
and this,
a little over 30 years.
And this was something that you instinctively must have known, that the star is an important symbol.
Yeah. Well, I just knew it wasn't finished until there was a circle around it. I just knew that had to be it. And I found out very, very many years later, my father and I met each other when I was in my middle 20s, and we kept contact with each other, writing and stuff like that. And I saw him another time, and then he died, and the family got a hold of me to take care of everything. And they said I was the only one of his children that they could get a hold of. My dad had 15 kids. And I was like, yeah, right. I'm the only one that has money. So I went in, I took care of everything. I did the funeral and had him cremated and all the stuff like that you need to do to take care of it. But then I had to take care of his apartment. So I went in to clean out his apartment. And when I was cleaning out his apartment, I pulled a box out from underneath his bed where he had tarot for dummies and a deck of tarot cards. Wow. Yeah. And I never knew that he was even interested in that. And I just thought that was the weirdest thing. That is like, my dad did that and I do that and I didn't know. So maybe my dad always did and I just didn't know. But I always called my grandma. I always used to say, well, you've got to be a witch, when I was little, because she would do what I would call magic potions and magic and stuff like that. And she said that it was Ozarkian mountain magic. But she would like make tinctures, and she cooked with lots of herbs and stuff. And she cooked with love, and she put intentions in her food and all that stuff like that. And it was just a natural thing for her to do. I don't think that my grandma was pagan, or if she was, she never said she was. But I do think that naturally she just did that. And maybe she learned it from her ancestors, but I learned all that from her. So I actually very much a green witch because of her. So I work with stones and herbs and all that stuff like that. And it's just because that's what grandma was,
Absolutely. Gosh, we could sit here and talk about this all day, but
yeah.
You've got a lot of stories and a lot of connections to
I do.
The other side. This is wonderful. But I'm afraid that's all we're going to have time for today. Thank you so much for being part of this and telling your real life angel encounters.
Well, thank you. And you have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too. Next up is a story from the Real Life Angel Encounters Facebook group. If you are on Facebook, you might want to join that group, because that's where I share news about the podcast, about the awards, about the book, where people can connect and comment with their own stories of the angelic, the divine, or the uplifting and positive, quite frankly. Now, this story was posted by Anita as a comment to one of my posts. And I do believe that Anita is from Great Britain. You'll probably see why. She was shy to share it on an interview with me, which I totally get, and asked me if I would read it, or gave me her permission to read it. So Anita says, yes, I have often gotten signs when I'm very down and needing spiritual rescue. I will suddenly be alerted to my phone and it says 1111. I might also feel a light brush of my hair or back. I was missing my mom on Mother's Day and I was in the bathroom tearful. I suddenly felt a touch and part hug around my back. I instantly knew it was my mom. Short story for sure, but I just thought it was beautiful. And I think it also illuminates some things that I would like to highlight right here. First of all, Anita says that she picked up her phone and it says 1111. And that is what she finds when she is in need of spiritual rescue, spiritual support. So if you are like Anita and you see the number 1111, maybe on a clock or on your phone or on the gas pump or petrol pump for those in the UK, or on a receipt or anywhere, that is a sign from your angelic team to pay attention to your thoughts because they are being heard by your spiritual team. So do notice those repeating numbers. For me, I might see 1111 for a week or two, and then see another number, other numbers that are common for me to see: 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 4, 4, and 5, 5, 5. Now, there are a few places you can go to find out what these numbers mean. What are the significance of these particular numbers? Now, one such source is Doreen Virtue's Angel Numbers 101. Now, this book is out of print, but you can still find copies on eBay or maybe Amazon, find used copies, or at a used bookstore. Another source that I like is Joanne's Scribe, and I can put a link to that in the show notes too. She has a whole index of angel numbers and what they mean to her. My advice is always to find a good resource that you like and you resonate with, and stick with that resource about the angel numbers, because it's a very easy way for our team and our loved ones to connect with us. Now, you might also be someone who, if you're like Anita and you're missing your mom, we say mom here in the United States, of course, right? But if you're missing someone, you might see a number that represents their birth date, or maybe the address where they lived, or maybe the address where you live. So look out for those angel numbers. Another thing I wanted to mention is that, Anita says that she would feel a light brush across her hair, her back, and this would be an answer to a special date or occasion or a thought that you had of your loved one. Now, I want to just mention that our loved ones are very close to us all the time. They do not miss any of our life. We think that they're off doing their own thing on the other side. And that's not exactly accurate. Yes, they are having their own experience on the other side, but that does not mean that they cannot follow along with our lives. So yes, when you're thinking of them, when you're feeling like you're missing them around a special day or just any time, really, that thought, that reminiscing, that memory of them brings them closer to you. So yes, think about your loved ones, talk about them, make their favorite recipes for special occasions, put out their photos, the memorabilia that reminds you of them, because truly, whenever we're thinking of them, they come closer and can interact with us more. So yeah, don't worry about bothering your loved ones on the other side. You can't. They can be everywhere all at once. And that's it for Anita's story. If you've got your own story, doesn't matter how short, no matter how simple, I want to hear it. Please reach out. There's my email address in the show notes and also a link where you can send me your angel story for review. All right. Thank you so much for listening. And I hope you're having wonderful angel encounters of your own. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe and follow, and be sure to share this episode. The more people who know about this podcast, the more great story submissions we get. Have a story to share? Email your own real-life angel encounter to angelencounterspodcast@gmail.com or visit radiatewellnesscommunity.com/real-life angel encounters podcast. Or join our Facebook group and continue the discussion. Want to know what your angels and loved ones have to tell you? Schedule an appointment with me at radiatewellnesscommunity.com. A special thanks to James Wheeler for the original music and to Tiffany Baumgarten for the logo design.